Catherine, and welcome back to my channel, One Hill of a Life. I'm so glad you could be here with me today, as today I'm going to discuss some of our favorite board books, or picture books that I read to my kids when they were really little. So I'm talking like newborn, infant, toddler years. A lot of these have kind of gone by the wayside as they've gotten older, which is still sad, but we've kept these books, and they just are quintessential to most parents' journey into new parenthood with littles. Just some fun things, especially around bedtime, books that we would read at certain times of the day. So take what you want. These aren't brand new books. They've been around for a while. Some of these you're going to be able to tell that they were well loved. But just to get started, we're going to start with a book that we read almost every single morning when my kids would wake up, and it was just a little Fisher-Price book called Good Morning Son. It was one that we had gotten as a gift, and I know like my kids really loved reading this in the morning, first thing when they woke up. So that's a good one for that purpose. Books throughout the day that we would like to read included some recent, tried and true classic, Brown Bear, What Do You See? By Bill Martin Jr. and Eric Carle. Many parents have this. We ended up with several copies of this. This is just the one we've kept. We also really loved The Little Blue Truck. This was our favorite. Any of the other ones we would get from the library, but yeah, it was well loved by my children. Other ones that we really, really liked, especially when my oldest was a brand new baby, was Your Baby's First Word Will Be Dada by Jimmy Fallon, but not to be forgotten that Everything is Mama. I think there's even like grandparent books, like grandpa and grandma books now, but these were the two we had before we kind of aged out of them. Really good, fun to read. Other books that, I'm trying to find them here now. A few other books that we always liked was The Napping House. And then these are actually two books that, one was my husband's when he was young, which was Bears on Wheels. And then following that, my in-laws gave us Inside, Outside, Upside Down. These two are actually some of the first books that both my kids learned how to read on their own first. Very simple, very basic, rhymey. These were some of the first books that they could read on their own when they were very, very beginning reading. So love a good Berenstain Bears book. But then we're going to move into like our bedtime routine. I've always talked about how we incorporated chapter books into our bedtime routine, but I actually have to start with the first books that we read in a part of our bedtime routine. So with my oldest, my firstborn, the very first routine book was a tried and true classic, Goodnight Moon by Margaret Wise Brown. This was a staple for both of my children. It has been well loved. We have broken it, busted it. This was the book that I could quote from memory. It didn't take much for me to be able to read this, get me started. I might be able to still know it because I read it every day, multiple times a day for a couple of years. We loved it. We started, as an adult, you start to find the little, like, seek and find things throughout the book. You look at the pictures. So very much love this one. Even now, it's a good one. The other one that we read a lot, especially at bedtimes, were Love You Forever, written by Robert Munsch and illustrated by Sheila McGraw. I know I mispronounced that, but forgive me, please. This was a book that we had gotten as a gift, and I ended up absolutely loving reading it to my kids. Sometimes we'll still revisit it if they find it in the stack, so it's a good one. A few others that we got over the course of time were Pajama Time by Sandra Boynton. I think that's how you say it. My younger one really loved this one. We kind of would get into the fun of the pajama time. We also really liked Steam Train, Dream Train good board book, lots of fun visuals. We always got into doing voices while reading, so this one kind of had some fun with the train noises. And to stick with the trains, we also had The Goodnight Train by June Sobel. So we always had fun with these. This was one where it's like, this one kind of got old for me, and what kind of prompted the need to diversify our reading. But if you need it, it's a good picture book. There's always fun things to find in these books. But one of the things, I was looking through my stack to make this video, and something that I came across that made me like, oh my goodness, because I say, like, I had my aha moment after I'd had my second child, that I needed to, like, I wasn't reading for myself, and that I needed to read books to my children that I wanted to read. And so we began this journey on chapter books at a young age. But one thing that I was going back through and I was looking at was when my oldest was about a year and a half, my in-laws gave us a book. And I mean, we've lost the cover. I don't even remember what this book was called. And it was about trucks. And it was from like a Scholastic fair, but it was a chapter book. And I started reading this to my oldest. We'd read a couple pages every night about the history of big trucks, like so semis, heavy movers, front loaders, steam powered trucks, like some of the first trucks invented. This was a chapter book, and I didn't even realize that this is what we had started reading to my oldest when he was a year and a half himself, along with Love You Forever and Goodnight Moon. But it was just one of those funny things where we had already begun the serious reading of books to our children, even before I even had that moment of realization of this is what we're going to do. And I'm just so grateful that we started this journey of reading more intentionally. I hope that some of these books you might already have in your baby's library, but if not, think about adding them. They're great books to get started with. They're fun, they're bright, they're colorful, and it's just one of those, like, these were the routine books. These were the comfort reads for my kids, especially when they were babies and toddlers and, you know, getting a little to that, like, little big kid stage. These were the comfort reads. These are the books that we read multiple times, some in a day sometimes, but, you know, it doesn't have to be this grandiose thing until you are ready for it. I have other books, but these were the ones that were quintessential to our time with babies and infants and toddlers and, like I said, little big kids. And just take what you will. If you have, and like, take the conversation to the comments. Everyone's always looking for books to add to their libraries, and there's always adventures to be had no matter where you look. And so this was just a sampling of some of the books that we read, especially when my boys were really, really little, and they're just great memories now attached to these books for us. And I hope that if you need suggestions, find them in the comments, or want to leave suggestions for others, please do that. I hope that this is just a fun time, a way to share. And I hope that you are gaining excitement and joy for the love of reading. So again, thank you for being here. I will link to my previous videos about children's literature, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.